The more interesting part of pitching Overwatch was when we had to pitch it to the Activision executive team for the first time. They were so nice to us, but I'm just trying to read that look on their face of like, oh, of all the things we want out of Blizzard, like really an FPS?
I think everybody in the video games industry, be it media or be it development, wants to create their dream game someday. Is Overwatch your dream game?
As a player, I had two game types that I loved the most. One was MMO, and the other was FPS.
MMO and FPS, I think, reflects back to a project that Overwatch actually came from the ashes of, which was Titan. Can you tell us just a little bit about that and how that led to Overwatch?
Back in 2007, we had this philosophy that World of Warcraft will last for 5 years. We really need a great MMO follow-up to World of Warcraft. So we dreamed up this project called Project Titan, and as you mentioned, it was a combination of FPS and MMO gameplay. There was a lot more to it. I think Titan was a really brilliant, ambitious game, but we really struggled making the game vision be realized into actual gameplay. And to have something that you love so much creatively and you've put so much of yourself personally into go away overnight. Not a lot of people know how devastating that can sort of feel. One of the things that came up was what's really working right on Titan? Like, what did we nail and what did we do really well? And something that we felt like was always fun on Titan was the PvP experience.
In terms of different gameplay styles for the various classes, what do you think the core gameplay loop for somebody who's never played Overwatch is, in summary?
A lot of our modes are asymmetrical. That you play attack and defense, I think, is really important. Team composition is a big thing. You want to play with other players, combo ults where possible. For example, that Zarya just comboed with the Doomfist. Hero switching to counter what other people are doing. You know, saying here's their comp versus our comp. Like, is that Ice Wall going to save us from that Bastion right there more than my lousy McCree play was? You're doing damage to build ultimates, and those ultimates are really the highlight, big, epic moments of the match, ultimately. I'm going to hide in this Ice Wall. Ultimately. I can never be a streamer. Like, my level of being able to play and talk is so, I have so much respect for people who can do it.
So, no mechanical customization, no progression, and it's a shooter, which are three things that I think are very far outside of Blizzard's kind of comfort zone. How did you end up pitching this, or was it just iterative?
To the Activision executives' credit, they were so nice to us. You know, you've got Call of Duty just absolutely dominating the world and is so good. But I'm just trying to read that look on their face of like, oh, like of all things you're gonna pitch us right now as an FPS, like of all the things we want out of Blizzard, like really an FPS. But there was a really magical moment when Bobby stops the presentation and says, I want you to go back 2 slides. And what was back 2 slides is the initial character lineup. And he said, I've never seen characters like that. These characters have such a unique expression. People are absolutely gonna fall in love with this. They let us make the game, so, you know, here we are today.
Imagination is the essence of discovery.
So we're in Skirmish, we're not in an actual game. But you are playing Winston. This is on Horizon Lunar Colony, and this is Winston's place of origin.
From day one of making this game, we knew that we wanted to build a universe. We didn't want to simply build a 6v6 competitive shooter. So what we try to do is a lot of what we call contextual storytelling. So like right here, you can see this is where the little baby primates were trained, but you can also see that it's in shambles, and we're basically trying to show that, like, look, conflict happened here, but at one point they were teaching and training these gorillas, and we feel like for somebody who's super into lore and story, there's all these little things that they can dig into and get a sense of the deeper Overwatch universe that exists without just putting cutscenes in your face.
So you have all of these mechanics from different shooters and different subgenres of shooters clashing. How do you balance that?
Having the hero lineup be so diverse in gameplay mechanics actually makes it easier, not harder to balance. I think if you're a game that has, you know, only 3 classes and each of those 3 classes only has 2 abilities, there's not a lot available to you to make significant balance changes without putting the balance of one of those other classes out of whack. But in a game that has 25 heroes and they all have multiple abilities, it actually gives us a lot of room to create counters to one another, or instead of having to nerf one character, we could just buff somebody else who's a direct counter to that. So we've really been lucky in terms of balance to have such a diverse hero lineup.
We just saw you get hacked by Sombra, and that's an ability that disables your ability to use your abilities.
Yes.
And I think that's an interesting example of a character that is designed in a way that becomes more contextually powerful when certain heroes are played more.
Absolutely. It's funny, we were working on Doomfist, and people were talking a lot about, you know, how is Doomfist going to affect the meta, and is he too powerful? And we had some really good Sombra players on the team who in playtests were just like, actually Doomfist is fine. Adding somebody like Sombra to the mix really changes the potential for great gameplay. She might not always be the best pick, and she's not the best pick on every map, but she is a really great pick against certain heroes and in certain situations.
The future of Overwatch. What does the next year hold? Is there ever a point where we have too many heroes? What's in store for the game?
I don't think there is such a thing as too many heroes, but I think we also need to come out with heroes at a good pace. We have lots of amazing plans for new heroes. Hero 26 is very playable and very fun internally, and that's all I'll say. And it's not coming out as soon as you think, so everybody don't think that's a teaser, but Hero 26 is already amazing. That's just the really short term. I think the team has dreams of much more Overwatch that goes beyond that, and I think we can start to think of, you know, how does Overwatch express itself in other ways that go beyond the 6v6 team shooter that we know today. And I'm very hopeful for what, you know, we can build as a great universe that people have fallen in love with.
Jeff, it's been a pleasure and a privilege having you here. Thank you so much. It's also been a lot of fun, and I can't wait to see what the future holds.
Yeah, me too. Thanks so much for having me.